it's still decent, but you want to really start pumping it out. Cignal Ultra with the Abaddon pick throws a bit of a spanner in the works here in terms of what to expect from this draft, because now you have the potential of either the Abaddon going support or the Mirana going support, and one of these two going core. We have seen the core Abaddon a couple of times before. We have also seen the core Mirana a couple of times before. Should be interesting to see what does get prioritized here from Cignal.
Absolutely.
5 seconds remaining.
Rift. 4th pick. Great draft looking here from Cignal. A much better draft than last game, I would argue. Rift, it really does feel like they're getting outdrafted right now. At least for now. I mean, I guess the Void just kind of has that kind of power over the draft. As they will start diving into that reserve time. Let it tick away. Gonna have to see some core pickups here. From the side of RR. I kind of wonder, what do you go up against the Void? Like, it's such a hard kind of position one to be up against. Just, even, like, how many times have we seen the Spectre being picked up against Void and it just doesn't do enough? I guess that's an answer? The PL's pretty good?
That's a pretty interesting response. The PL itself has a couple of issues as well, but we haven't seen it match up against the Void too often, so I'm keen to see how well Reality Rift will pull that off. Of course, it has been a while since we've seen successful PL as well. Like, the hero is just kind of in a rough spot, I want to say, at least based off the games we've seen of it so far in the past few days, because we have seen it pop out a couple of times. So we'll see just how well Reality Rift can get that hero working. I like seeing the Invoker ban out from Cignal Ultra. Massive respect to Alacrity. He really did set a lot of the pace for Reality Rift in the last game.
5 seconds
And
remaining.
I'm keen to see how both of these guys tie up their drafts. There's a bit more I'm lacking from Cignal Ultra. I'm not too confident in their Chronosphere this time around. With the Void, you really want something that can hit quite well outside to follow up. I think that's going to be key, because you want to use that Chrono quite often, and early on, Void just does not do enough damage by himself to find those kills in the Chronosphere.
Dire team
Oh, thank goodness. Thank you, RR. Always good to see a Tinkerband coming out, John. Always a pleasure to see it happen. Hopefully we don't see like Arc Warden or something stupid come out, but I highly doubt it. Doesn't seem to fit the draft of RR.
I mean, you never know, Mike. It does
Don't-
kind of work okay with Legion Commander.
Don't say that, John. Don't give them ideas.
10 seconds
You mentioned it.
remaining.
You gave them the idea by saying it. So if it gets picked up,
5
I'm blaming you,
seconds
Mike.
remaining.
They need a mid pickup here. Surprisingly enough. I mean, it's a bit greedy, but the Gyrocopters made it through. And it does tend to do pretty well mid, but they will go for the TA instead.
Oh, God bless. Yeah, that's
Indeed.
much more... Yeah, it's much more exciting to watch, and definitely comes online quite fast, so you have a really solid lineup so far from Reality Rift. I'd say the weakest point of this team is control in teamfights. You have great single target control from Bane and Legion Commander. Lina, of course, has some AoE, but it's not the most reliable to land on multiple heroes. And that's it. Cignal Ultra, if you approach that late game teamfight where control is what really matters, they have Chronosphere. And that is just pretty much hard to dodge every single time if you land it. So
this-
on that note,
Is this just a simple Ember pickup for Cignal now? Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
yeah.
You may now
I mean, it's
Definitely is.
up against the TA mid, and then you're up against
And
the
the
PL
PL.
late game. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
obvious pick for them. Okay, so ultimately, John, I personally prefer the Cignal draft. It just looks a lot better to me, and a lot more the heroes are in meta right now. Where RR's draft is kind of that meta you saw about 6-7 months ago, I guess. How do you feel about it? What do you think you prefer here?
Signal, straight up. This is something that has no contestation. Every time that PL comes out, Ember Spirit's the go-to for a lot of people. Like, every single person I've talked to, it's like, yeah, they're going to go PL when they ban the Ember. Yeah, they're going to go Ember if the PL's picked. And it's just straightforward. It's a great counter to PL. It burns through that TA, as you mentioned as well. It can do some damage outside of that Chronosphere. If you are outside, you can at least spam your Sleight of Fist. You can do damage that way. I think that's the one weakest thing with Cignal, really, is their synergy with the Chronosphere is down to Sleight of Fist spam and perhaps Mirana right-clicking. That's really it. So how they play around that Chronosphere is going to be interesting to see, especially early on. Reality Rift, their draft is pretty straightforward, right? They want to find those single target pickoffs with the Legion Commander, with the Lina and the Bane. Alacrity on the TA should be able to melt that backline quite fast if they can get that good jump. Should be interesting to see how it all goes down in execution.
Certainly so. Of course, Reality Rift, unfortunately, and I mean, I hate to bring up this point, John, they are yet to pick up a win today. Cignal Ultra, of course, picking up their first win in this best of 2 series. Of course, one game left between these two before we move on. We'll see if RR can pick up the win, or the first win of the day, because I don't believe they have any other series today. So I will quickly double check later on, just to make sure. But I'm fairly sure they don't. In fact, I can confirm now, yeah, they don't.
Prepare for battle.
It's really their only chance to get some points on the board for themselves. Already a pretty big line being drawn out around that bot banner rune spawn, so Cignal, they want to go for something early. Naturally, when you have a Mirana Shadow Demon, you always want to try for that first blood arrow. They've got the setup already with the disruption as well. It's just a matter of finding somebody that they can actually go for. KYXY, already some pretty deep observer wards on that banner rune spot just to keep tabs of what's going on. And it looks like RR are kind of aware that they'd go for that first blood down bot anyway, and so they're also looping around trying to find somebody.
Overall, this could be a slight win for a Cignal, especially if those top runes are just not going to be contested, which it does look like. So that could be 3 runes going the way of Cignal off the bat, gives them a nice start, helps Jamesy down mid, as early on, the TA can kind of play around, although with just level 1 Sideblades, it's going to be a while until you can really start pumping out that harass.
They're going to run into Cignal. They don't have vision up that high ground. Now the disruption will come out. Arrow to fly out as well. They caught the Lina, but there is the press the attack to save the day. Hustler still copying a lot of damage. Bounties being taken by the side of Cignal. In fact, all 4 of them being taken. And Grims, though, still going to be in a bit of trouble. I don't really see him dying here, but they are stopping the chase. But no, once they go up the high ground, that'll be enough of that. Now they'll turn their attention towards Eris. He'll be fine as well. Nuts is not done with Grims, but now Disruption comes out. Arrow is available. In fact, no, it's a couple seconds away. And so Nuts is going to be chased down now. Eris is going to try and land this arrow without the disruption setup. Grims will make it easy for him. Arrow is there. He brains that beforehand, though, and there's not really enough damage, but Grims, if he can keep juking around this tree line, he might get away with it. And now Nuts is in a bit of an awkward scenario, as Eris is probably not going to leave him be. Tango a brain sap again. He has an arrow in just a second. Nuts. Arrow. Going to be way off. Nuts now going to turn back around. He has brain sap in a second. We'll use it. Eris just going to keep man fighting. Tango's being expended here. This is a lot of highlight for the start of the game, John, as Eris and Nuts putting on a show for everyone. Arrow will be available once again. Eris, Nuts going towards that T3. He's going to throw the arrow out now, and doesn't quite get it, but Eris still finds the first blood.
Yeah, it's because he did a lot of damage in the last few seconds. I think there's a bit of a grace period where if you suicide like that and enemy hero was hitting you up, it does go to the enemy hero. And considering the damage done as well, I think that's a factor. So that's first blood going away of Cignal. That's a good enough start for them. A lot of time wasted though, but still you're not going to be too unhappy about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a position for Mirana anyway. She's not going to be taking any farm. And it looks like... Well, I say position 4. Eris? No, it's a core Mirana, excuse me. Does come up top. Van's just been farming his way on the Abaddon. In fact, it's not a core Mirana, it's a core Abaddon.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's it's a good start for Van. I mean, he was sustaining that lane solo quite well up against Luke. So, you know, he's had a good start for himself. He's gotten a good amount of EXP, and he should have get himself some good farm. The timing on Abaddons, if they get that good start, it gets very hard to control them.
Certainly does. And bot KYXY, just overwhelming odds, and Nando's dead. I was about to say Hustler and Nando were quite low on HP, but KYXY, he seems to have noticed the same thing. He'll take the kill for himself. That is kind of one of those kills you don't really want to give away just so easily like that to someone like a Legion Commander. Nando, though, he'll be back in the lane. Just keeps farming up again. Oh, you look over to that mid lane where you see Alacrity. He'll be up against Jamesy on the Ember. This does definitely favor the Ember, at least for now, and probably will do so for the rest of the lane. The Refraction being expended while the Flame Guard was still on, and it will just disappear completely as it wears off.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice. Again, this lane should be Ember favored for the most part. Oh,
Grims will end up going down though. Hustler is in trouble. Lightstrike Array will connect, but Nando will still find him. Meanwhile, Jamesy ends up finding Alacrity barely on any HP, and he'll deny himself off to the tier 1. Gold will still go to the TA. Meanwhile, Eris ends up going down to Nuts up at the top lane. And Jamesy appears to feel pretty confident about his Ember Spirit this game.
Nuts.
But here we go, get Eris, no.
Eris?
Misses the arrow. Nuts is still juking him around. Gonna run down to the Ancients. Don't you dare, Nuts. He gets it.
No, Eris. What are you? Oh, man, that's just unfortunate. He was trying, but Nuts.
Eris. Gonna move back up to the top lane. Bit of an unfortunate event for him. He's had a lot of wasted time this game already. And so, Arrow will connect on PL this time around. A very nice one at that, and he'll jump straight in. Problem is, he's only level 2, so there's not really much damage output he can provide. Nor can Van. So they'll just get back to farming. Eris, he'll go for a nice little pull, that creep wave. While bot lane, bit of a fight over the bounty runes though. Nando cops a fair bit of damage, we'll be alright. There's a lot of action around the map right now. It's kind of hard to tell who's in the lead here, but most importantly I would argue is, I mean, Jamesy on this Ember is going to be a real significant problem if it keeps up like this.
Definitely. The one thing that is working out quite well for Cignal, as you mentioned, is that mid lane, which means that Alacrity is going to have to play in that jungle for a bit until he gets his farm going. He can't really contest Jamesy at this point. Level 3, Flame Guard, lots of damage coming out. He has maneuverability with his Fire Remnants as well. You're going to toss Hustler down mid, just soak that EXP, but you can't really go up and slow down this Ember's farm now.
Hustler. An awkward situation as Eris not leaving the mid lane and continuously throwing out those arrows. One of them lands, he's basically dead on this laner. The TA just going into the jungle, just farming up there. Eris shows himself now, goes for the arrow. Hustler does get a nice dodge off thanks to the Jamesy, who breaks the tree line down with a remnant. It may not matter though, as Hustler should end up dropping here, and it looks like he will stick charge up and Nuts. Coming in now, Jamesy though has him trapped up and gets him with the Flame Guard. Nightmare was just a bit too late from Nuts. And Alacrity comes in and starts farming while he can. Still though, even more gold going to Jamesy. He finds himself an Arcane Rune to make matters worse for the side of RR. And so that'll mean he can be even more aggressive during this laning stage.
Yeah, definitely so, and again, it just makes it much better for Cignal having that good start down mid. I'd argue that the side lanes have been traded once again, like one team winning one side lane, the other team winning the other. But this time around, that mid lane is coming out better for Cignal. And again, that could make all the difference in this game, as you should see Jamesy active fairly early on with this kind of start.
Well, he'll have the phase boots up pretty darn soon. I would have argued perhaps BOTs would have been better off in this game, but it seems like he'll prefer the the added damage and armor that will be provided by these boots. I suppose now, with those, he can get started. He's already hitting pretty darn hard. He'll farm up a bit though. Perhaps just go for the drums first before you get super aggressive. We'll see what he opts for. At the very least, he does know Alacrity has suffered quite a lot on this TA. And he's just kind of forced to farm up in the jungle constantly now. But it's just not as fast anymore as it used to be. Especially until you get up to those ancient stacks. Alacrity, that is really the only option he has to try and catch up and set the tempo of this game for the team.
Yeah, and a lot of that tempo is riding off the back of the TA. That is just the nature of the hero, right? It comes online fast, you want to start snowballing with that tempo setter, and Hustler's in a spot of trouble.
Yeah, he certainly is. Disruption to Arrow, but KYXY has dual. Leap will be there from Eris, but he is not done. He's chasing. No leap available now. KYXY is so darn close, although Fairy Fire beforehand, and he will not go for the duel. Meanwhile, Grims ends up going down in the mid lane to the Lina. Now a nice LSA. Can they find the Ember? Nightmare will come out, and he does have duel available, but do they have the damage? KYXY is going to keep moving in. Jamesy is fairly tanky right now, though. They'll get the LSA and now go for the The ball's on this man. And ironically enough, he takes down Nuts of all people.
Oh, they are massive, Mike. And we saw a lot of good plays coming out from Nuts. Jamesy this time takes it to those Nuts and really hammers it in. Like, this is a really good start once again for Jamesy. Level 9 already, set to finish his drums up in a decent time. And he's already pretty darn active, even if it's just down mid. He's forcing the rotations out, buying time on those side lanes, giving space to Nando to farm up on this Void, and he has not had a good time on Void. He's still set to finish up his Midas first, but beyond that, you know, it's going to be a while until Nando becomes a factor in these fights.
Luck, at the very least, on the side of RR, have been doing very well on the PL. So he's getting that farm up on this Phantom Lancer. Arrow, not going to connect. Luck will be aware now the Mirana is there, but there's still really no kill potential here. In fact, he's going after Van. Van, borrowed time popped. He's just going to make a run for it. Luck may chase though. He could try to go for this kill.
Wow.
10-minute bounty runes are up. Anyway, Alacrity, he was just standing there waiting, and Van, he gets baited by the bounty. Now Eris can't really get away from this, or maybe he can. He still has 2 leap charges. Traps are being set and used, but it will not matter. Eris will get out. Still a nice little play there for the Abaddon kill.
Definitely so. That is a pretty hefty kill to give to the way of Alacrity. That does give him just a bit more gold to work with. He did go for 3 Wraith Bands because of that rough start, so not something you see too often, but again, with his start, it's kind of understandable.
Hustler finds Nando on the Void, and now, well, they're going to punish KYXY. Jamesy just by himself back. No, Nuts will be there on the Bane. Hustler doesn't really have mana for the LSA, or maybe he will. He uses Dragon Slave instead and now has the mana for it. Jamesy is going to be very careful about this. Nuts. LSA. Oh, it's...
no.
That was very mispositioned. Jamesy still playing around with them. Has 1 more bottle charge and more Sleight of Fist to come. He may actually turn this around by himself. Where the hell is his team? LSA is completely dodged. James is still going, but will not find anybody. But here comes Nando.
Oh.
Nice chrono on 2. Finds 1. Can he find KYXY? He gets the bash.
Oh, man. That is just insane coming out from Jamesy. All the juice coming out. He buys enough time for the Void to come back in, get that first chrono off to massive success. I mean, we were talking about Nando not having enough damage, but when Jamesy drops him that low for you, you've got to take it.
Certainly do. It's going to help his cause quite a bit. Nando going to be going into that Maelstrom next. He's picked up his Midas recipe now, and it's coming out on the Courier. So Nando's farm about to escalate quite fast. Will probably overlap the PL very, very soon. It's like he will be going for a Diffusal Blade himself. Looks like he'll find out the hard way that Jamesy is actually around the area on the Ember. So his farm arguably going to slow down a bit on the PL now.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Just take that tier 1 tower, and it's very easy when you've got an Abaddon. Meanwhile, the same will be done though. Bot lane, KYXY on the LC, trying to get that work done himself as well. Looks like they did find a Nightmare onto the Void, but the follow-up just wasn't really there from Hustler. Van, of course, with the TP on the Abaddon, just to protect. KYXY still just focusing down this tower. He really does not want to play around too much. Although, Van looking for the deny and finds it as well. And he'll just make a run for it. Meanwhile, Luck going after Grims by himself. But Jamesy is there to try and find a trade. Jamesy clears out all the illusions. And now we'll find the kill as well. And it's just not worth killing off Grims for the sake of your own life if you are the position 1 PL.
No, definitely not. You give that kill to a massive hero as well. Jamesy's going to be very happy with that trade. And again, you are still seeing a pretty even game, 9-9, less than 1k network lead now for Reality Rift. They might find Van here.
They may. Jewel is available, but borrowed time is popped. Now Jamesy's here again. Remnant forward. He knows there's 3 there. He just doesn't care. Nando now loops around nuts. Fiend's Grip is there, but that was a complete waste. I suppose it buys time for the rest of the team to back off. It's only a split second though. Now a 10-9. Slight net worth lead to the side of Cignal. And I just don't know about this, John. Like, you've got so much farm going on the Void now. He's second in net worth, only behind his own Ember Spirit. And sure, you've still got this TA, which Alacrity, he does have a Blink Dagger up now. The problem is, though, he hasn't really seen any use of it yet.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, right? He's not in a position to force these fights out just yet. His backup isn't quite ready. So he can blink in from the start, but the burst isn't great yet.
KYXY just loses half his HP trying to take on an Abaddon. Will heal himself up, but Jamesy again is around the area. You do know the Shadow Demon is there as well to ruin the duel if they do go for it. Nice chains from James. Arrow will not connect. They want this denied at the very least in the tower. And Eris, I mean, he finds it nuts. It looks like he was about to get the deny, but not quite. Jamesy now looking for some more chains. It does find one on nuts, but it's perched off straight away. Now nuts, do they keep chasing? Jamesy, he is a greedy man and he wants it, but KYXY was waiting for the duel attempt, it looked like, and he did back off. Eris, meanwhile, has been diffused. And it looks like he has one leap charge, and he will just barely get away with it, though Alacrity is not done. There's a trap right there, but now Nando shows up with a Chronosphere available, and it looks like the side of RR will not chase any further.
Yeah, and again, overall, that trade does favor Cignal. They force a massive response coming out from RR. RR still not finding anything in that exchange. They lose their tier 1 down mid. While all of that's happening, of course, Van does manage to TP out and farm for himself. So you are slowly starting to build up on Cignal. I have to say the blink reveal for RR is really not that favorable. They still have to work their way up to the Desolator first. And even then, Alacrity is going to be prone to being taken out. There is some pretty decent control on Cignal's side, so perhaps the BKB is when they really start going.
Nightmare off onto the Abaddon. He's going to be fine. Moonlight Shadow was committed just in case. Jamesy moving forward. He knows Hustler's there somewhere. Might find Nuts instead. No, they'll just give up on that. They'll just be happy with the fact that the Abaddon's alive. Meanwhile, Nando thought about going for a Chrono on Alacrity mid. He'll leave that be as well, as the refraction was there. Bot lane, they are actually trying to go in. KYXY. Couldn't get a duel off. Luck gonna keep moving forward as he's feeling confident with that Diffusal Blade, but it is still a risky play to try and make. Jamesy just going to go for the TP and heal his mana back up. Get the Maelstrom. Arrow flying in, but will be taken by a creep. And Jamesy now, he wants to make a chase. He's going to find KYXY straight off the bat. Is there going to be a duel? Probably not. And there won't be. He's just gone. Now they found Alacrity in the disruption. And with that Flame Guard, you just burn through those refraction charges. And RR, I'm just not sure what they're trying to do here with this engagement attempt. It just HYHY does, excuse me, did I say HYHY? KYXY doesn't really have a way to close the distance. He has face boost drums, He just isn't able to get in close enough to actually find somebody before they just burst him down anyway.
It's really optimistic for them to start fights like that. I think you really have to depend on Alacrity catching someone out and following up, rather than having KYXY walking around hoping for a duel to go off. It just doesn't work that way. On the other hand, Cignal played that really quite well. The patience from Nando to drop that chrono when it's just the softer targets, again giving them massive value from that chronosphere, and we're seeing Cignal play around this void quite well. It's not as picture perfect with a cooldown. There are times where it is up and not being used, but every time they've used it so far has been super effective.
Oh, poor Grims. We'll end up going down on the Shadow Demon. Jamesy will just stop Hustler from moving. So now 18 minutes in, 6k net worth lead for the side of Cignal Ultra. Jamesy, though, has to be careful as he does get LS8 up and Alacrity jumps in. Just seemingly so darn tanky, though. He just doesn't care about these right clicks of the TA. She doesn't really have a Deso up, and instead they're going to go for a smoke attempt now again. KYXY, he's only found one successful duel so far. Can he find another one now? Nando would be amazing if they could get him. Hustler, LSA will land in time. Jewel should be there. He does get it, and Alacrity jumps in as well. No playing around. Just throw everything at him and make sure you find that kill, and that is exactly what they will do.
That's the exact kill they needed as well, right onto Nando. Huge amount of gold going the way of KYXY, and that should help him build up a bit. He has finished up his Hood of Defiance as well. I'm not sure if he's going to finish up the pipe first or go for the blink. I think you have to greed out and go for that blink first if you really want to keep doing this, just to give Alacrity backup when he blinks in with his own.
Bot lane. Could be a bit rough for Nuts and Hustler. They go for a Fiend's Grip on Grims. They are going to probably pay quite heavily as Hustler goes down, although no luck. He wants to go in. Jamesy almost out of mana. In fact, he pretty much is completely out of mana. They're still jumping in, but no, he just eats up and just runs away. Now they keep going, although Van dropping low. So that's Borotome, now the Chrono! Nando, he found all four of them with the Sleight of Fist. It's just so much damage. KYXY, he's going to try and move back in and help lock out, but I think this one's all over as they are going to find the Legion Commander once again. They'll leave the PLB, but what a Chrono coming out from the Void. And just in time for those banner runes as well.
Nando has been so on point with these Chronospheres, just being in the fights early on, having the patience to land it when it needs to come out, and turning the team fights every single time. Surprisingly, Cignal at this point does have the damage, outside of just Nando. They can follow up quite nicely. They're building off the back of that. They use this opening to go into the Roche, and it should be a fairly decent Roche, although I'm not sure how fast it will really go compared to how fast it would melt when you had a TA. But this should go fairly quick still, and that's going to be an early Roche. Early amount of gold going the way of Cignal, and that's going to help them out massively. 19 to 30 now, 20 minutes in, a 5k lead for Cignal. A much, much better start for them this time.
Roshan now being taken down. I think all that damage is coming from the fact that they have double Maelstroms up. So much magic damage spreading around through these Chronos. Even with that, just the Sleight of Fist itself, if you can get one or two procs, it's just amazing. Well, Jamesy, he's going to have a Lincoln Sphere up soon. Once you've got that, it's just going to be impossible to catch the man. Luck. I mean, he's farming decently on the PO. It just doesn't seem to be enough. Those illusions, they get cleared so darn quick. Because they do find a Nightmare. They will get the Mirana. This will be a nice pickup for the side of RR. And that is exactly what they will get. Problem is, though, they are going to lose their tier 2 tower in the process up at the top lane. It looks like they may be in position to take a tier 2 down at bot lane, but Luck just does not push as fast.
No, he definitely doesn't. And it's going to be a bit of an issue. They're going to have to trade that tier 2 up top. There can be a defense coming out from Cignal if they opt to. They do have the T-piece up. But they're just going to pressure the top lane just a bit more.
Why the hell not? Nobody's backing up. Just get that damage in. In fact, no, they'll just leave it be because they found Nuts. And Nuts is going down. They want to give that kill off to Nando. Grims will just take it. He's tired of playing around. Now the Moonlight Shadow. Chrono is up. Nando looking for his target.
The top tower lost half of its HP though.
Certainly did. Now bot lane. I mean, Nando's by himself. He's going to be careful about this. He's going to find Hustler. Hustler will LSA, but BKB comes out from Nando. It's just going to be a very easy pickup. Meanwhile, Alacrity being perched up here by Grims. Disruption not available, but look at the damage coming out. The chains will not be there in time from Jamesy. KYXY will also back off. But things are looking real grim for the side of RR. They are now 6k net worth behind once again. But it's just all the momentum and tempo is the way of Cignal Ultra. It doesn't seem to be switching anytime soon.
No, they're going to be able to maybe apply pressure in this tier 2 down bot as well. Although the creep wave is way too far back, there are traps to slow down that process as well. So that tier 2 down mid is probably all they're going to get for now because of that trap. And they might be able to find some more kills. The Chrono is up.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Arrow. Won't connect on anyone. Just a scouting arrow. Creeps. Trap will not be detonated on those creeps, so they will be able to pass. So that is basically a guaranteed tier 2, as they're not going to take a team fight into a Chronosphere. Not the way Nando's been landing in this game. Especially considering the fact he still does have the Aegis as well. Cignal just really keeping no prisoners this game. Do they keep going? I mean, Aegis is up, Chrono's up. Is there a reason to back off?
No. No reason at all.
Nuts. Nightmare will be there in time. Nando will just keep going. Hustler. LSA won't land. Nando jumps back in. Gonna find another kill onto Nuts in the Bane. And that's gonna be the first tier 3 of the tower going down. About 25 minutes in, although Nando looking for a Chrono attempt. Jamesy will just go straight after Hustler. KYXY trying to look for the jewel, but doesn't get it off. In fact, Lincoln's is available anyway. Now the Chrono Nando, he doesn't have the mana for it actually. It's been drained away by the PO, and now he can't time walk either. He's going to lose the Aegis. They can still try and turn this one around as there is a TD on Jamesy as well as the Chrono still there. Nando pops BKB, can't find the Chrono. He will throw it just on the PL, try to take the annoying Phantom Lancer out, but it's just not enough damage coming out, although he does get some lucky bashes. Now Ban jumps in. Luck, he'll be able to get out, but they found Alacrity on the TA. They'll buy back on that. Nuts will go down to secondary time, and Luck, he's going to try and make some magic happen. It's not quite there yet, though. KYXY, he's gone as well. Buy back from him on the LC. Now the arrow onto the TA, but it looks like Cignal is just completely done with this fight. They took the tier 3. They don't get the racks, but they force so many buybacks, and the batterings are up, so there's no reason to stick around.
Absolutely. Really well played coming out from Cignal. You can see a slight struggle for Nando as he cops too many hits from PL, so his mana is definitely an issue now. But overall, they still find what they want. They managed to really work that Aegis for what it's worth. They get some good damage out onto the range racks to release, so next time they swing around.
Mid lane, Eris.
Oh no. It's a dieback.
That was a beautiful arrow. Meanwhile, KYXY gonna run away. The Void moving forward by himself. No Chrono though, but here comes Jamesy. They duel up. Oh, the Nightmare though. The Laguna dodge on the Nightmare.
What?
Nando just going to continue moving forward. Lux is sitting duck right now. He dopples up, but he's just got nowhere to go. They'll bash him up. Luck, he's down as well. No buybacks available. But what was that Laguna dodge on a Nightmare that happened because he got jeweled?
That is just such bad timing. Just such bad timing coming out, and really unfortunate for RR. They just lose 2 tier 3s like that. And Nando is still alive, you know, he should have been dead. He should have been dead.
Oh, these things happen, John. These things happen. They're going to keep going. The respawn times aren't that bad, although they're pretty darn bad, considering your racks are being taken at 27 minutes. Nando has no mana, so he's going to be a bit wary of that against the PL. Van will be the one to just try and take that racks by himself. Jamesy will come in and help clean up the job. So ultimately, they are only going to find 1 Rax and 2 tier 3s. I don't see them going towards that mid lane and trying to go for another Rax quite yet. It looks like they'll be pretty satisfied with the outcome of that.
Definitely so. Oh, you have to note that fight took long enough that Nando has his chrono back up when he gets the mana. So they could just passively wait for that. He has to link things up for the regen. Once he has enough mana, I don't think they're going to be holding back too much.
But Jamesy has not let off on the voice lines either, John. He's just given it to him. Cignal, again, moving forward. Jamesy, Invis runes don't make you invincible, sir. He's underneath the sentry. No, wait.
Oh.
It was a bait. The chrono again from Nando just gets both support. So Jamesy being chased down by Luck. Can they burst down the PL once again? Nuts is still alive, but the Fiend's Grip breaks the Lincolns. That's not how you wanted to use it. Luck's so damn low. Luck's trying to get out. He's trying to man fight Nando.
No.
He's gone. No buybacks available. Lackery's the last man standing, and he calls GG before he dies. It won't matter though. They'll take his life, and that'll be it. Another 2-0. Cignal Ultra, their debut in the close qualifiers turns out pretty good for them. Unfortunately for RR, John, it's been a winless kind of day.
Yeah, it's just rough, right? You had a rough time. Your first game of close qualifiers, you're playing up against the favorites TNC, and you drop 2-0. Like, okay, you reset, you come in, you play against Cignal. The first game's a drawn-out fight that Cignal barely wins, and then Game 2 is just like this. Yeah, you must feel really bad. It was a good showing coming from RR, don't get me wrong. They tried their best there. They shook up their draft. They tried to do something else, but I don't think that PL pick was the best thing in the world. It's not down to the look as well. It was just down to PL and then the last pick, Ember, coming out. That just really threw a spanner in the works there. Perhaps it's something that they could kind of repair for next time, but Cignal shows us why these guys kind of have a name in, online tournaments. These guys are usually out there. They win quite a fair few for themselves. They did win the nationals in the Philippines as well. So, props to those guys. They are showing up quite nicely for their first match, and perhaps better luck next time through Reality Rift.
Certainly so, John. Now, of course, we do have our next matchup coming up. By the way, John, Reality Rift is here tomorrow, so they're still going to be here. They're still going to be popping their faces, but we do have AXH once again, but this time around, up against TNC. They could be the second team that go winless today, as they did go 2-0 against GeekFam, and I mean 2-0 as in GeekFam got 2-0. So we'll see how that goes. TNC going to be popping up against AXH next. It is MLP Dota and Fire. We'll see you guys very, very soon for that next series.